Buddy, Chef Seis here, and I'm gonna answer a question that someone had is, how did I make that beef for my chopped edition of Beef Bobby Flay? So I did the bibimbap, and I did a really simple marinade, so I just wanna show you, it's super basic, because especially on chopped, you don't have a lot of time. So on chopped, there was a great, beautiful piece of ribeye. Today I'm using flank steak, which is from kind of the belly outside of the cow, also known as bavette in French. But basically it's really lean cut. And what we're gonna do is just basically marinate it the way I did it really quickly. I have soy sauce, and we're gonna put that in there. I'm just gonna free pour this. I'll use some measurements later. But I just want enough, just so it's gonna cover the beef. And this one's a thin piece, so we don't need a whole lot. And I'm gonna show you how we're gonna get that in there. And then we're gonna put some mirin, which is a sweet rice wine. So it's got some sugar in there and some rice wine too, so it's got a little bit of alcohol, some of them do. I put a little bit of sesame oil in there as well, just for a little flavor. And then some sugar, just like that. And then a little bit of minced garlic. And then we're gonna mix that up in a second. But so we're gonna go back to the flank steak. So this is a really thin piece, so we wanna marinate for a little while. Kind of, you know, overnight may be a little bit too long for this, but at least like 3 or 4 hours. The reason why is if it goes into the marinade for too long, it'll kind of dry out the meat and all the salt will suck it out. But you also want some to penetrate the flavor. So I'm gonna roast this whole pretty much. This is less than a pound, but I'm gonna split it in half so it can fit in there. And what you can also do too is cut into strips. So the greater the surface area that you have, or the less surface area I should say, is that it'll take less time to marinate. So if you're in a rush and you're just gonna do a stir fry, you can do that too. So I'm gonna put this big piece in whole here, get that going, and make sure you coat it on all sides. And I'm gonna mix that up while that's going there. But also here too, if you're gonna do some strips, and I cut them a little bit thinner because flank steak is a little lean. As you can see, there's not a lot of fat. There's these striations going here. So you wanna cut across the grain. So what they mean by that is this is the grain, you cut across from it. So that's with the grain if you're cutting with it, as you can see, here, the lines. We're going across. So I wanna make this a little smaller, so I'm gonna split it in half, that way. And then we're gonna make nice thin slices this way for stir fry. Now, even after you cook it, which I'll show you in another video, is you also want to, when you serve it, slice it thin, especially for a meat that's a little bit tougher like this, because if not, you're gonna be chewing through it. So sometimes, obviously, you've had a steak where there's a lot of sinew and you're chewing through it, not pleasant, especially when you're trying to talk at a meal. But what we're trying to do here is just slice this thin like that, and we can also drop that in too. So this is also gonna take much less time. So you're only gonna need to marinate that maybe for like an hour max, and then make sure you drain it, because we'll get into the technical part of, you know, if something's too wet and you have a hot pan, not so good. Okay, so we're gonna drop this in there. Actually, I'm gonna finish slicing this up and then marinate it in there, and then we'll get back to cooking.